support it?
Because in the villages where I learned how to ride mine, you could tell that they had the worst roads there. you know the Maram roads where you're hitting in potholes here and there. You find a
village humps
and whatever. So, but here in town, the roads are okay for the bicycles. What is difficult, however, is the gas you use. How you call it the gas and the energy you're using while you're carrying a passenger. Take for example, if you're on a hill and you're carrying someone at the back of you, so you're supposed to use a lot of energy. Remember, this doesn't have an engine, or it's not using maybe fuel or oil in any way. The only oil it has just to keep on adding more energy, maybe as you're cycling and cycling as well. So it needs more of the energy. I think it's just more energy. What do you have? Because you'll find someone really sweating on the road trying to
that one is bringing me a smell. So you mean you can't bike when you've not eaten something?
Struggle.
Okay, so we derive a lot of energy.
And remember, they are a bit cheaper.
But kudos to the agricultural sector contributing much to the bicycle or the bike, as also bikes are contributing much. Just to give you a highlight here about the report that came around there from the survey made around Bombo Road. A wide variety of products moved by bicycles down Bombo Road, one of the 7 major arteries leading into Kampala. The quantity of important non-food items transported by bicycles annually includes 2,134 tons of charcoal, 1,043 tons of firewood, and 300 tons of banana leaves. Most important food items carried by bike include 1,778 tons of fresh cassava, 365 tons of sweet potato. We have 303 tons of tomatoes, 255 tons of fresh beans. So just to tell you the contribution of bicycles towards the country here, and just on one route around Kampala areas where it carries loads and tons of products, where we have avocado, potatoes, banana leaves, like I said earlier. And of the 31 major commodities found to be transported down Bombo Road, actually, vehicle types and bicycles carried 40% or more than all of the commodities. Can you imagine that? Waliwo babipanga natekawo banana nasokawo ensawo yachi yamanda one nazawo.
Normally they use help of wood. Nasibako lukobanga luwanvu. So I mean, if you in fact.
So you can see the transition mode or the transportation mode of the bicycle itself onto the agricultural produces, and how they are greatly improving our economy, especially for agriculture. Because even in villages, like you're saying, the first mode of transportation away from the foot shubish.
It is always the bicycle.
It is always the bicycle, whereby the farmer is putting on the bunches of matoke onto the bicycle with the help of some sticks, so that you can carry on like maybe 5, you can carry on like 6 on one single, on one single route. So that is very helpful. And just to be conscious when you're using bicycles as you're transporting or as you're moving, mind the weather. As we are concluding on this one, what are some of the takeaways that people should be considerate about, when they're using a bicycle? Number one is minding the weather. Can you see when it's getting to rain? Because they have got weak wheels.
Yeah, very weak. I'll even take
sometimes very slippery.
Me as an example, because I use these bicycles
as an example.
To transport elephant grass, to transport food from the farm, and taking them at home, and also the elephant grass, this weed that the cattle used to feed on, the goats used to feed on, as well as the ready harvested things from the garden as well. But then what I realized was, when you don't need to overload.
Okay, you mean it also has no overloading?
No, it depends on, you need to load something you can ably ride and carry.
Okay.
Because remember, it's when you're riding a bicycle, it's all about how you balance. You don't need to. You have to make sure that at least your goods do not overweigh your, overweigh your body. In fact, okay, it can overweigh your body, but can it overweigh your ability?
somersault?
Yes, yes, it can you may somersault and
And you overturn. So that's the
overturn.
bicycle accident.
And you make a funny, you make a funny scene out there as you're falling out, because people will first laugh before
an
they run to you.
accident.
Yes.
I mean,
it's a real accident. And in the villages, because the roads are beat hard, you find rocks everywhere. You can even, get a fracture or something. So I think, first of all, you need to take care of what you're loading. You need to understand you don't need to overload. And also you need to also check your wheels, the tires as well, because if you don't have enough pressure in your tires, you cannot ride the bicycle. It's just like a car anyway. If you don't have enough pressure, it's not easily movable. It's not easily driven. So that is one of the key factors you're supposed to learn about.
And look out for when using a bicycle.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you, Paul. And that one marks the end of the discussion around bicycles. And I hope you get one, especially in this lockdown, for your movement. And by the way, easing door to door, transitioning, or even transporting of the products or produces that you have. We take a break. We do return with top stories at the top of the hour, but also we expect sports and business. Good morning.
Smart 24, driving business.
Very well, at exactly 1 minute past 10 in the morning. Welcome, these are the news updates. Let's begin with what's happening locally. Now, Professor Patrick Ogwang, the manufacturer of the local hub Covidex, has applied to the Uganda Registration Service Bureau to have the product patented. A patent allows the owner to legal rights to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention for a limited period of years, in exchange of pushing and enabling public disclosure of the invention. Now, Professor Ogwang, who trades as Jenna Herbal U Limited, shot to limelight recently when the National Drug Authority (NDA) last month gave the green light for the Covidex drug to be used as supportive treatment for COVID-19. In a general notice in the Uganda Gazette, Professor Ogwang seeks to register Covidex as his own product and also has power for making and selling of the same. Last week, the professor, together with his company Jenna Herbals Uganda Limited, through their lawyers of Omogole and co-advocates, threatened to sue Mbarara University for use without consent and authorization there in the product, adding that Jenna DX Extra, Astrimon and Covidex is a socialist funding from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Moving on, Tororo Resident District Commissioner has raised concern on health workers' risk allowance. Now, Nixon Owede, the Tororo Resident District Commissioner, has raised concern of the need to work on health workers' risk allowance, adding that the police should also be considered as they are all much prone to the virus while on duty. The Parliamentary COVID-19 Task Force, led by the chairperson, Dr. Emmanuel Otala, West Budama South MP, visited Tororo District and Task Force ascertained challenges faced in the combating in the virus and also among the communities. The RDC added that the districts surrounding Bukedi region all refer patients to Tororo Main Hospital, yet the Ministry of Health does not consider the burden at the facility. And continuing lastly on our local scene, the Electricity Regulatory Authority, ERA, has reduced the cost of electricity to the domestic user by 3.04% Uganda shillings, effective July 2021 for the next 3 months. Now, in a press statement, the Electricity Regulatory Authority approved new end-user tariffs to be charged by Umeme Limited to apply or supply of electricity energy in the billing period from July to September 2021. According to the new tariffs, domestic consumers will pay 250 Uganda shillings for the first 15 units under the Lifeline tariff and thereafter pay 747.5 Uganda shillings for the units purchased. Now, this is lower than 750.9 Uganda shillings, which has been charged in the previous quarters. According to ERA, the new tariffs apply to all electricity consumers' bill raised by Umeme Limited based on the meters reading Yaka purchases tokens in the period of July to September 2021. ERA also says they agreed with Umeme to reduce tariffs because of the changes in factors that influence the cost of doing business, like the appreciation of the Uganda shilling against the dollar. And that is it for our local scene around here. We move to our foreign updates this morning. We begin with the South Africa, where South Africa violence spread after Jacob Zuma was jailed. The rioting by Zuma supporters began in his home region of KwaZulu-Natal province last week and spread during the weekend to Gauteng province, which includes Johannesburg, South Africa's largest city. Now, several hundred people looted and burned stores in the Alexandra Alexandra and Blemy neighbors of the Johannesburg, according to a statement by Police Major General Mathapelo Peters. Now, the body of a 40-year-old man was recovered from a shop that had been burned, and police were investigating the circumstances, he said. The 79-year-old former president was jailed for defying a court order to testify before a state-backed inquiry probing allegations of corruption during his term as president from 2009 and 2018. Now moving on, black-owned restaurants in New York are finding a lifetime in food trucks and also ghost kitchens. As business dried up the COVID-19 lockdowns last year, many restaurants fell behind on rent and also had to lay off employees. Now, especially the true for black-owned restaurants, which struggled to gain access to emergency capital earlier on. But restaurateurs who can no longer afford traditional brick and mortar operation have found a lifeline in the form of food trucks, food halls and ghost kitchens. The ghost kitchens are typically delivered take-out only operations that reduce overhead costs of restaurant owners. They have become immensely popular during the pandemic. Food halls offer the similar flexibility, renting out equipment and space to independent service operators in a food court like Getting. And now lastly, on to our foreign update, we have 224 traders who have been left counting huge losses in Katroko market fire in Dar es Salaam. Moving on, the Minister President's Office, Regional Administration and Local Government Authorities, that is Umi Mwalimu, has said a total of 224 traders at Dar es Salaam iconic Kairoko market have been affected by a fire that broke out last night. The popular market, which also serves as the East and Central African countries, was ravaged by an inferno which destroyed several shops, including veterinary medicine, on Saturday evening. Umi says the information they have indicated that 224 traders had been affected, and while they had awaited the response of the commission set up by the Prime Minister, we will not continue to take any action until we receive the investigation report, he said. And now continuing, that brings us to the end of our foreign updates. Let's take a look at forex rates this morning. US dollar is still buying at 3,453 and selling at 3,584. The Japanese yen is still buying at 4,876 and selling at 5,090. The euro is still buying at 4,098 and selling at 4,387. The Kenyan shilling still stands at 30.13 and sells at 34.37, while the Tanzanian shilling is buying at 1.24 and selling at 1.84. These are rates according to the Bank of Uganda. Wish you well as you do exchange your rates there. A very good morning again if you just joined in. That is what we had for you for our local, foreign and forex updates right here on SNB. For now, let's have a look at what's happening in the fun of business in sports. Paul will be there to bring you that. Good morning.
All right, now with 11 minutes past 10 a.m. today, we come with the latest sports news here on Smart Sports Business. All right, I'm Joram Paul Sonko. Now let's get right into it. Now we start with a story from the UK, as the UK audience peaks at 31 million pounds for 31 million euro for Euro 2020 final, as the RAI audience is over 18 million euros. Now the game at Wembley Stadium in London, which kicked off at 8 p.m. went to a penalty shootout, peaking at a combined audience of 30.95 million during the closing minutes of the encounter. Now the final also drew huge viewing interest in Italy, with a combined audience of over 20 million across free-to-air and pay television. Now the audience high was high during the penalties, saw BBC pull in around 25 million viewers versus ITV's figure of around 6 million. Now overall, BBC from 6:20 p.m. to 11:40 p.m., while ITV averaged 4 million viewers from 6:30 p.m. to just before midnight. Now the numbers exclude those who watched the match on the broadcaster's streaming services. Now the time range that we're talking about is the British Standard Time here. Now ITV's coverage of England's semi-final against Denmark on July 7th previously recorded peak figures that set a new high for a single broadcaster of a football match in the UK. Now the match, which saw England win 2-1 after extra time, peaked at 89.3% audience share with 27.6 million viewers across ITV, ITV Hub and STV as well. Now we head into the next story now to Italy, as the Italian audience eclipses 20 million. Now, Italian public broadcaster RAI netted an average audience of 18.2 million viewers for the final and a market share of 73.7%. Now, the first half audience was 17.18 million with a 71.9% share, while the second half figure was 18.3 million, a 73% share. Now, the extra time audience for live coverage on the RAI channel, on the RAI 1 channel, was just under 18.5 million, a 70% share. The audience crept over 18.5 million for the penalty shootout, registering a 78.7% share. The match was also watched by 2.4 million subscribers on paid television broadcaster Sky Italia. Now we move on to the next one, as Bruin makes first foray into betting with 155 million pounds Odesca acquisition. Now, Bruin Sports Capital, the investment company founded by former NASCAR and IMG executive George Pine, has made its first foray into the sports betting sector with the acquisition of Odesca Global Media. Now, the operator of the Odesca owns comparison site from Flutter Entertainment in a deal that could rise to 150 million pounds, which is estimated at a range of 215 million US dollars. Now, under the terms of the agreement, which is still subject to the regulatory approval, Bruin will pay an initial 135 million pounds, but has also put aside a deferred contingent consideration of up to 20 million pounds. Now, Sports Business understands that the investment firm will seek to enhance organic growth from the company in the UK and Europe, while also deploying its technology to build a similar betting affiliate service in the United States, where the legalization of gambling in certain states has created new opportunities for the betting industry. Now, betting affiliates effectively act as marketing services for bookmakers, taking a commission every time a referred customer goes on to place a bet with an online merchant. Launched in 1999, now Odesca is one of its most visited digital destinations for real-time odds comparison, wagering data and related information. Bruin is also understood to have been impressed by the firm's state of the art technology, which is able to deliver nearly 260 million odds updates a day, making it well suited to the large volume of betting content in the US sports market. Now we head into a Euro report again, as Marcus Rashford is worried about the penalty miss and the racist abuses he's been receiving after last night. Now, Marcus Rashford has come out to say he's sorry for the penalty miss, but not for who he is after the racist abuse on him, Jadon Sancho, and Saka. Now, Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and Bukayo Saka suffered racist abuse on social media in the wake of Euro 2020 final loss. Rashford came out and said, "I felt as though I had let my teammates down. I felt as if I had let everyone down." Now, Marcus Rashford has come up to apologize for missing a penalty in the Euro 2020 final shootout, but says he will never apologize for who he is after receiving online racist abuse. Now, Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and Bukayo Saka's social media pages were flooded with racist comments after their penalty shootout misses, leading the FA to release a statement condemning the disgusting behavior. Now, the English manager Southgate Gareth also condemned the abuse, saying it is antithesis of what the national team's values are and the togetherness that the squad has shown during the 2020 Euro. In a moving statement on Twitter on Monday evening, the 23-year-old Rashford said, "I can take critique of my performance all day long. My penalty was not good enough. It should have gone in, but I will never apologize for who I am and where I come from." There's a good stand from Marcus Rashford and all the black players out there who are being racially abused by the people, by the white race in the European continent. Of course, these cases continue to develop each and every year, and we think we can fight this together. We are saying, say no to racism, because football is just here to gain, it's all about coming together. It's all about unity. It's all about unifying everyone, because we all love the beautiful game. Now we end into another story as Tyrone Mings, the England defender, hits out at Home Secretary Priti Patel after racist abuse directed towards players. Now, Patel has strongly condemned the racist abuse sent to 3 England players after missing penalties in Euro final shootout, but Mings is unhappy she had previously dismissed taking the knee as gesture politics. But the England defender Tyrone Mings pointed out that Patel has criticized the players in the past of their decision to take a knee before the matches, which they believe is an important signal of their determination to fight against racism. Now, responding to Patel's comments, Mings wrote, "You don't get to stoke the fire at the beginning of the tournament by labeling our anti-racism message as gesture politics and then pretend to be disgusted when the very thing we're campaigning against happens." Now, Mings also wrote, "I'm still struggling to find the words to express my emotions from the past month." And he says he's so proud of everyone who has contributed to joy and togetherness this team has brought to millions. "We have celebrated, smiled, cried, and cheered together, and for that, I'm so proud." As racism still kicks in the European continent, I think most of the players here are being demoralized. Remember, playing football is out of passion as well, but if you're being demoralized by being called certain names because of the racial differences we're having, it makes you, lose the love for football. As I mentioned earlier, football is about unification because we love the beautiful game, and keeping the beautiful game means we are supposed to build brotherhood at all costs in all destinations. All right, now we head to Formula One now, where Lewis Hamilton's commission publishes findings and makes recommendations to increase motorsport diversity. Now, the Hamilton Commission, launched in June 2020 by Formula One, is 7-time world champion, and the Royal Academy of Engineering makes 10 recommendations to drive lasting change to increase the number of black people in motorsport. Now, Lewis Hamilton says he is committed to helping implement the changes required to make motorsport more diverse, as his commission released its findings and recommendations to increase the representation of black people in engineering careers. Now, the Hamilton Commission, established by Formula One, is 7-time champion in conjunction with the Royal Academy of Engineering last year in 2020, published its report after 10 months of research into the barriers first by black students progressing into engineering careers and then inside the motorsport industry. Hamilton, who co-chaired the commission with Dr. Haitun Sailem, working with a board of 14 commissioners, believes the research sets out clear, meaningful steps for the motorsport industry to become more inclusive while also tackling the areas that can be improved in education. That is a good move from the Formula One 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton, as well as improving and also trying to build a gap between the white race and also the black race to give more opportunity for the black race out there in Europe. Now we head into the other story as the 114th 49th Open, as Shane Lowry releasing chance to defend Clara Jagg in front of 32,000 fans. Now, not playing in front of fans doesn't do it for me. That's just the way it is. I feel like 2020 was a bit of a write-off for me. Shane Lowry welcomes the prospect of 32,000 fans per day for his defense of the Open. Now, Shane Lowry gets the chance to defend the Open title this week, and although he has an open mind regarding his expectations, he is releasing the prospect of playing in front of the bumper crowd. Now, Lowry kept hold of the Clara Jagg for a little under 2 years following his memorable 6-shot victory at Royal Patrush in 2019, having been denied the opportunity to defend when the championship was cancelled last year due to the coronavirus pandemic that is still prevailing even 2021. Now, the Irish arrived at Royal St. George in fine spirits as he prepares for the new experience of defending a major. And while he was unsure about how he would handle the occasion, he feels his performance levels will be lifted